Hey, what's up? It's been a long time. I don't know, I've been thinking I'm gonna do these gym therapy tips and I've been having all these ideas and then life happens. Anyway, today I'm gonna be talking to you about boundaries. Stop in the name of therapy before you stress my mind. Think it all over. That was terrible. I can actually hold a note, y'all. But anyway, a lot of times this comes up, and I want to really, really talk about this in a way to break it down a little bit, right? Because a lot of times we think about boundaries as just saying no to people. That's what I hear a lot of people say. A lot of people say boundaries is just no. I'm saying no to you because I'm setting my boundaries. But I want to just give you an alternate perspective to help you consider boundaries in a different way. See, boundaries can be physical, they can be emotional, and they can even be spiritual. I deal with so many people that go through spiritual trauma, religious trauma. So I want to really, really, really take my time to deal with mind, body, soul/spirit in this boundary session, okay? So first of all, the obvious, physical boundaries. Physical boundaries is very simple. It is what I allow you, what I give you access to physically. It could deal with someone the way they touch you. It could deal with proximity, being all up in my space, all up in my face. You know what I mean? It can really deal with just the physicality of things. And the reason why we set physical boundaries can be a lot of reasons, right? They could be because sometimes people, we don't really feel safe around them. Sometimes people can be triggering. I've seen it happen with a lot of people who have experienced sexual trauma. A lot of times they don't want to be touched, especially sudden touch. It takes them right back to that moment of feeling violated. So physical boundaries is a huge one. And then also just being in certain people's proximity. Sometimes if you are somebody who experience certain types of abuse, primarily, physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, a lot of times it is very difficult for you to be around people who trigger, meaning trigger is like a gun firing, right? Basically, they trigger, meaning the gun fires and our body automatically releases some type of response. A lot of times our heart can start beating, or we can actually feel nervous, or we can feel that fear. Our body goes in fight or flight mode. You know what I mean? So something is triggered, right? And that is about physically being in somebody's physical space, touch, all those things that deal with the physical realm. We have to set a boundary, meaning we can't be around certain people, or we have to be around certain people at a distance. I am a huge believer in loving safely from a distance, okay? You can love somebody, but you ain't got to be in their presence. Sometimes it can be a hello, how you doing from over there, you know what I mean? Or it can just be, I'm taking a little space right now, text me or don't. The whole thing is that you have to set some type of space to where you are not triggered, meaning your body or your mind is not having a certain unwanted negative response. Physically, emotional boundaries have to do with, basically, this is a difficult one because emotional boundaries have to do with, even though I may be inclined to do certain things because I care about somebody, I understand that emotionally, it's not safe for me. Emotional safety is a huge thing that I encounter a lot. Emotional safety has to do with being able to function emotionally in a safe place. Let me give you an example. If you are somebody who is caring and kind to an abuser, user, misuser, that is not an emotionally safe for you, because these individuals will not they will take all the kindness and compassion and everything you have to give without regard to your well-being. So sometimes emotional boundaries are really careful. Are really necessary so that we can be careful, because we know that although we care about somebody, although we are kind towards somebody, although we have these emotional connectors, we still have to be safe. Now, let me just put a little pin in that to say, I'm not talking about emotional guardedness where you have a wall with everybody, an icebox where your heart used to be for everybody. I'm talking about setting emotional boundaries that says, I love you, but certain emotional interactions are not safe for me. Does that make sense? What would be emotionally unsafe? Well, when people, I give you one example, where they take your kindness, your empathy, your compassion for granted. People who, situations where you express your feelings and they're discarded. One thing I hate is for somebody to tell me how I feel. Please stop. You don't know how I feel. You don't know me like that. If I tell you I feel this way or I don't feel this way, I said what I said because it's true. Now, I could be lying, but that ain't for you to say. So emotional safety is when people, when you're expressing your feelings or you're opening yourself in an emotional way and, people are using it against you or accusing you for it or disbelieving you. Those are not emotionally safe places for you. So what you want to do is you want to be able to express your feelings in a safe place. Not when you express your feeling and it ends up in an argument. You know what I'm saying? Or when you express your feelings and the person is, you know what I hate? I hate when people say, I'm sorry you feel that way. No, don't be sorry I feel that way. Take into accountability what you did that contributed to me feeling that way. That is not an emotionally safe place. But, again, I'm not promoting emotional guardedness. I'm saying seek to express your feelings to people who are going to appreciate your feelings, take care of your feelings, express empathy, and have your best interests at heart. Last but not least, for those of you who have been spiritually or religious traumatized, or religious trauma or spiritual trauma, the best advice that I could give for somebody who has experienced religious trauma or spiritual trauma is, if you those that believe, I believe in God, my Savior, Lord, my Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian, right? So whatever your God is, have your relationship with your God and stop allowing people to take place of God. That is the best protection against spiritual trauma. That is the guardedness that I endorse for people who have experienced religious trauma. Appropriate the blame properly. Don't blame God. Don't blame the whole religion. You know what I'm saying? Even though some religions can be very unsafe, but don't blame all of that. You have to, it's very important for us to look at the people and how they misuse spiritual authority, how they may be misusing this religion to hurt people. That's the whole thing. Is just that it's very important. I'm a big believer in personal relationship with God. You know what I mean? And I'm also a big believer in, when you are a part of religion, make sure relationship with God supersedes religion. You know what I mean? And also that we don't look at people as everything about the religion or everything about God, right? So anyway, what is my point? My point is that for spiritual religious trauma, you know what I'm saying? First of all, identify what the trauma is. And then also I'm encouraging you for relationship with God. That is my advice as a therapist. I'm also encouraging you to process the trauma to see what it is that made you susceptible to certain aspects of it. And also to be able to recognize unhealthiness, even in a spiritual setting or a religious setting, okay? If something is to harm you, regardless of where it is, you know what I'm saying? You don't need to be harmed. All right. This is your girl, Kira Jo. I'm always welcome to any comments, or most importantly, if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover. This was boundaries: physical, emotional, spiritual. I forgot mental. I'll do mental next time. Mental boundaries. Thinking, resonating, obsessing over things that create anxiety and fear. Put the block up. You know what I mean? But I'll talk about that later. God bless. And oh yeah, mental health is health.